Alrighty, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our webinar, The New Year for the New You, Diabetes Resolutions That Stick. So should you have any technical difficulties during the broadcast, there's a number at the bottom of the screen to call Citrix Support, 1-800-263-6317. So thank you for joining us. We're so happy you're with us tonight. Our format includes a short presentation followed by an interactive discussion. To type in a question, use the questions section of the webinar toolbar. At the end, you'll have a chance to ask questions. So we look forward to an interactive webinar this evening. Just a disclaimer, we know that the information you're about to hear may motivate you to make lifestyle changes, but please consult your physician before making any changes to your current routine. Cecilia Health Certified Diabetes Care and Education Specialist will provide you with strategies to help you manage your diabetes. This online Q&A session is intended to give general advice. This information is not a substitute for personal medical advice and involves the professional opinion of the Cecilia Health Certified Diabetes Care and Education Specialist. Our webinar leader this evening is Laura Johnson. Laura Ashley Johnson has been a practicing registered dietitian and certified diabetes care and education specialist for 12 years. She's from Irvine, Kentucky, but now lives in Houston, Texas. Laura has a passion for nutrition and enjoys cooking for her family. Some of her hobbies are watching Kentucky basketball, traveling with her family, and spending time with her Norfolk Terrier named Butter. So thank you so much, Laura Ashley, for joining us this evening, and you may take it away.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy that all of y'all are here as well. Happy New Year. We have a lot of items to go over today, so first we'll just kind of go over our agenda. Like I said, happy to be here with you to get 2022 off to a healthy start. What we're going to start with today is setting up a great foundation for success. We're going to create SMART goals. We'll talk about what that means as well. We're also going to talk about why having your goals in writing can help. We're going to discuss where your level of motivation is at and how to improve it if it's necessary. Also, we'll touch on forgiveness. And as Katie said, we'll leave time at the end for questions and sharing and answering as well. First things first for setting yourself up for success. So where do you find yourself backpedaling or maybe slipping away from your goals? Is it when you're grocery shopping? Do you go to the grocery store when you're hungry? Do you go without a plan? Do you focus on shopping in the inward aisles of the store versus the outside? Or do you find yourself failing in your own home? Do you have foods that are too tempting, maybe stocked, and maybe they're just kind of teasing you there? Or maybe do you have foods available that are going to meet your needs, or are they not there? Or are you cluttered? That's another thing that I find patients saying, that they slip up in their own kitchen and home. Or is it your mindset? Are you focused on the past or the present? Do you dwell on slipping in the past and what hasn't worked for you before? Or are you focused on what can you do this time? So what you want to do is what you want to reflect on from the past is when you found yourself throwing in the towel. It's kind of hard to execute your goals, and you can't expect perfection, but you want to be able to recognize when you're veering too far off your goals. Is it the employee gatherings that you maybe have at work? Is it poor time management? Maybe is it a spouse or friend who keeps tempting you? Another one that I thought of earlier when I was kind of going through these slides was financial constraints. Maybe you've got things pulling you in different directions financially. So you want to figure out what it is, and it may be more than one thing as well. But then you want to figure out how to avoid that derailment in the future and learn how to bounce back. So when I say avoiding derailment, you've already identified a source that maybe causes this direction change from your goals and thought, what can I do different maybe next time? So often the derailments each year or each month can be similar. I find that with patients that I see from year to year, they find themselves having the same exact slip up. So I always say, look at the big picture and ask yourself, what are you trying to achieve here? Are you trying to maybe get your blood pressure down? Okay, so you want to identify factors that have caused your blood pressures to be high at this point. Was it the food that you are eating? Is it stress? Maybe it's lack of activity. It could be sleep. Okay, what now? So say it's food. Maybe you want to start with taking an inventory of the foods you have with the sodium intake goal in mind, of course. And should you maybe discard some of the food or donate it to somebody else in need? There are certain foods you should integrate more in your meal plan that need to be added to your next grocery list. You could start there. Or do you find yourself maybe running short on time and ordering from restaurants most days of the week? And that can really add up with the sodium content as well. So maybe identify some quick solutions. For this example, you maybe would want to start listing some quick go-to lunches, something that would help you not to be in that situation where you're going to have to order out fast and have larger volumes of higher quantity sodium options. Maybe it's downloading an app that records your sodium so that it helps you focus, because when you record things, it really keeps you alert of how you're doing and where you're at with your goals. And I really like this quote on the side. I know some of you may be listening to this on your phone, so I'm going to read it for those of you who can't see it. It says, "Your mind is a powerful thing. When you fill it with positive thoughts, your life will start to change." And it's so true. If you dwell on how things might not have gone the way you'd hoped in the past, or look at the future as, man, I have to give up so much, then your thoughts are going to keep you from meeting your goals. So first, be aware of this, that it can hinder you from meeting your goals. Then second, disrupt those old brain neurons. Instead of thinking, why is lowering my blood pressure important to me? And again, this is just kind of the example I'm using, but why is it important to me? Do I have a family history that I've been trying to break the trend? Or do I have a family or close friend I want to live a lot longer with and want a good quality of life? Or do I want to prove to my doctor and to myself that I can be the change for my health and my future? Do you think more of what are positive outcomes versus what do I have to give up? It might even be a tough conversation you have to have with a family member or friend, but your health and your happiness, they're both worth it to go through these thoughts and to address those concerns that are hindering you from meeting your goals. So sometimes setting goals in a way that it's something visual you see and specific can really help you kind of understand the who, what, when, why, and how of your goals. So we call this setting up SMART goals. And for those of you who can't see it, it's the acronym SMART. And every letter stands for something. So we'll start with S. What is the goal you're trying to achieve? Be specific. I've kind of been going with this blood pressure theme as an example, so I'm going to continue it for you guys. So what do you want to do? I want to lower my blood pressure. Maybe you want to even be more specific with it too. I want to lower my blood pressure below 140/90. We know 120/80 is goal, but maybe you're just trying to get it out of that elevated high range over 140/90. So that could be very specific. How will you know when you've achieved it? This is measurable. This is what the M stands for. And you can measure that goal, say every day or a few days a week. Your doctor may even have a specific amount of times they want you to check it. So you can measure it and then take an average and see if it's meeting your goal. Also, another way you can measure it is, I want to meet this goal by like a certain time length, which kind of is the M and the T at the end, but the measurable M stands for something that you can concrete have in numbers with your goal. So you want to make sure the next letter A, that it's achievable. Is it in your power to accomplish it? In this instance, more than likely, there are things that can be done that can make this goal achievable. You know, if someone, maybe we're setting a weight loss goal and they said, I want to lose 100 pounds in a month, that is most likely not an achievable nor safe goal for most people. That's a big exaggeration, but I want to kind of hit hard that it needs to be something that is an achievable, something that you have the power to do with change. Again, that's kind of going with the realistic. The R in SMART stands for realistic. So is it realistically achievable? Yes, if it's maybe 2 pounds a week that you're trying to achieve. If you're saying, again, if it's 100 pounds, do you have the power to do it? Probably not, because there's too much it would take to lose 100 pounds in a safe way. Is it realistic? No, it's not either, because that's quite a bit of weight to lose in a month. Okay, so we've got specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and the last letter was T. So in the example of a blood pressure, maybe you say, I want to achieve healthy blood pressure control below 140/90 within 6 months. And that gives you a time frame that you want to achieve that goal. Is that achievable? More than likely. And is it realistic? Absolutely. So that's an example of how to kind of set up a SMART goal relating to blood pressure. And I'm going to give you another example too. Here's a long one right here. So for those of you who can't see it, it says, I will walk 30 minutes 5 times per week on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. I will start with 10 minutes 3 times a week for the first week, then increase to 15 minutes 3 times a week for a week, then increase to 20 minutes 4 times a week for 2 weeks, and then increase to 30 minutes 4 times a week. So that is very specific. There were a lot of instructions on how this person was going to achieve that goal too. But what are they trying to do? The S, they're specific. They're trying to increase their exercise capacity and how much they're doing it. Are they measuring it? Absolutely. And they've done it in a really unique way where they're building on what they achieve every week. They're not coming out too hard, too strong, too fast, and setting themselves up for failure. So they've measured it in the very specific times. Is it achievable? Absolutely, because they have the power to start small and build on those goals. Also, is it realistic? Absolutely, because they're not saying, I'm going to go run 3 miles tomorrow. I'm going to be able to do this by the end of the week. If they're not active, that's probably not a realistic goal that they're going to be able to achieve. But, you know, maybe they could put in there, I want to run a mile within 6 months. And that is a long-term goal that likely could be met if they continue to kind of build on these small goals within. And timely, when do you want to accomplish it? They were really specific in building how much each week they were going to do it to achieve it within the time frame of weeks that they wanted to achieve it. So that's a very long goal, you might say, but it's very specific, and it helps them to be focused on, you know, what am I trying to achieve here? So next here. So here's a homework assignment for y'all today after the webinar. Write down your goals. You're more likely to achieve your goals if you have them down, brain to pen to paper. So try to write them out using this SMART acronym that I went through just now with you. So I'll give you another example. I'm not so good at drinking water. This is one just for myself. I'm very terrible at staying hydrated during the day. I don't think about it, and I know I should be better about drinking water. In fact, I can go all day without drinking. So if I want to work on drinking more water, I might say, I want to work on hydrating every day as my body needs. I will start with 40 ounces a day today, adding 8 ounces every day until I hit a minimum of 90 ounces per day within a month. To do this, I will use a water bottle with measurements on the side and fill it to my goal for the day. The objective will be to empty the bottle every day. And I also share this with patients all the time to try to have a water bottle with measurements and fill it up. And so I'm honestly trying to practice what I preach as well. But that's an example of kind of a homework assignment I want you to do today. You all are here. That right there alone, you in this webinar is showing that you're wanting to get this year started off on a good, good footing with some really conscious goals in mind to help with your health. And so just write them down today. Also, having those goals written down will help you be accountable. So how many of us let excuses get in the way? So just post them where you can see them. Also share them with someone who will help you stay accountable. Maybe set a reminder on your phone each week to look at your goals and refocus if needed. Maybe you have them written down in your notes. Maybe even have a picture reminder. Those things can help when you can visually see, like, oh, I know I'm trying to, I looked so flush in that picture right there. I know my blood pressure was so high. I want to get the redness out of my face. I know my blood pressure was high. There's something that just kind of triggers you, like I need to get, stay focused on my goals. Maybe you're working on, taking your blood sugar daily, like your doctor maybe requested. So maybe having a blood glucose log out where you can see it will help prompt those thoughts of, oh, I need to grab my meter before I go to work, or, oh, let me check my blood sugar before I eat breakfast. My doctor wanted me to do it fasting. Or maybe put it on your, like your bathroom counter, and that can kind of trigger you by next to your medicine or something to take your blood sugar. So those visual reminders are a perfect way to kind of help keep you focused. So for those of you trying to make changes with your weight, those who keep a food diary or accessible log lose 50% more weight than those who don't. It's really one of the best tools, whether it be in writing it down the old-fashioned way, like a journal, or maybe using one of those new apps on your phone, like MyFitnessPal or Calorie King. There are a lot of things that you can record too. You could, it might be specific to what your needs are too. So maybe it's the specific types of foods that you're having and the portion sizes. That might be what you really need to record. Maybe it's the time of your meal because you're trying to pace yourself in a certain way during the day, or maybe you're trying to log the way that you feel at your meals. Some doctors even say, I want you to know, were you hungry? Were you physically hungry, or were you stressed? Were you working while you were eating and distracted? Like, how are you feeling? You might even be logging what your pre-meal blood glucoses are. So that might be what you want to log down, or maybe your medication. So there's lots of different things that you can record. And I'll tell you, logging, I know sometimes as a dietitian and a diabetes educator, when I would tell patients to do this in person, I would often get like an eye roll because they know it takes effort. It really does. It takes time in your day. And where I think a lot of my folks would slip up is they'd go all day without putting anything in, which is fine. But at the end of the day, when they're kind of decompressing from the hectic busyness of the day, they're like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. And then the next day comes, they're like, I didn't do it yesterday. I've just got off course now. And then they kind of give up. And it can kind of stretch it out a little bit, but I feel like it's just small little give ups that set them off course. So I tell them, maybe you want to focus yourself just 3 or 4 days a week of logging your foods. And if it's not a day that feels good mentally to sit down and do that, that's okay. The next day, try it then. And sometimes pacing yourself through the day, entering it, can really help too. Because it also does educate you on what is in your food. You might be grabbing a snack and say, I'm going to have a dozen of these particular crackers, and then notice, oh, I didn't realize there were this many carbohydrates. So then as you're logging it, it might form a different decision in your portion control too. So there's lots of ways that logging is actually extremely helpful. And as a dietitian too, I can often see if they're struggling with blood sugar control or blood pressure. I can say, oh, it's because you had this to eat, and that's a little higher in carbs, or that's a little higher in sugar, and here's a better option next time. So another option that can be super helpful is a vision board. So these were always popular in school and college. Many of you might remember them when you were trying to kind of show you who you are. It was kind of a group team activity. You had bunches of magazines and you would cut out things that you felt were kind of like you. So why not make a board that shows the goals for yourself that you're working so hard to achieve? Maybe you have a picture of yourself from happier times that you want to kind of reacquaint yourself with. Maybe post some foods that are going to get you where you want to be. Maybe you are kind of going through the magazines and picking out some healthy items that you're going to start integrating, or something that you've already found that you like. Maybe post some foods that you're going to, like restaurants that you're going to go and get healthy food that you like. Or post pictures of your family, things that you just feel like are boosts of motivation for you to meet your goals. It can be quite a bit of different things. It could be a picture of your doctor with you. It could be a clothing item you want to wear. I have a lady who's getting married and wants to lose weight, and I told her her dress that she bought a few months ago is too small now. I said, just kind of have that out and as a reminder of the choices you're making. And it's not a negative reminder. She's really excited and knows that she's going to meet those goals and get there. So I even had a patient once who posted a picture of a roller coaster as his first goal because he wanted to fit in the seat when he went to the theme park with his kids. And small as that may be to some, it was huge to him. He felt like every time he goes to the theme park, he's just watching his children have so much fun and he wants to have fun with them. And it kind of breaks his heart a little bit. So that's his goal, is he knows he needs to lose about 30 pounds before summer, and he'll be able to ride those roller coasters with his kiddos. So next, you want to think about creating your dream team. These are the people who are going to be on your team all the way, supporting you, helping you achieve your goals. Of course, your doctor. If your doctor's not on your team, then you want to have a conversation with your doctor because they often will lead you in your health goals that you have for yourself, because they have your lab work, they see you progress in your age and what's going on, what's changed. So your doctor is definitely on your team. Also, your spouse. It's really hard for patients of mine whose spouse don't support them. So I have some folks that I even tell them, you can, if you need to, you can say, my dietitian told me I had to do it. You can blame it on me if you need to, or, because we all have the best intent. And I'll give you an example as a spouse too. My husband goes to a gym, and it's not really my favorite way to exercise, going to a gym, but I started going with him in January because he would easily cancel after a hard day's work. But if I'm going with him, he's suddenly motivated. We haven't missed one time. So I'm doing it for him because I want to support him. Your best friend, if you have a best friend at work that you've grown up with, so you might have your best girlfriend you want to go to the track with or go to the gym with. Or say, hey, I made this for dinner tonight and it was so yummy, and she may give you or he may give you great ideas too. So a best friend's great. Personal trainer, of course, they're wanting to help you with your physical health. And of course, if you've got certain health concerns, make sure your personal trainer knows as well, because they'll work with those. Your Cecilia health coach, we're on your team. We want to get you there. We're always setting goals with you on every call. Your pet is on your team. As y'all saw earlier, Butter is a motivation for me, and she is my workout that I do enjoy. I love going out with her and walking. So that's my actual workout that I do enjoy the most. Children and grandchildren, they can be a motivator. Of course, your faith or your spirituality, prayer and meditation, those are all parts of your team that want you to succeed. So if you need to, reach out to these areas and make sure everybody knows where you're at and where you want to be. Also with this becomes a tough one often, is who is not on your team. So you have to be aware of who is a part of the discouragement committee. because they do exist, and it makes it really hard. If you've got someone who's, you really care about that, you should, I mean, does it really bother you that much? Or, you always, you don't order out with us anymore. What's going on? Why can't you just order with us? You know, like you trying to make us all eat healthy too. Just something that's little negative digs or passive comments that can derail you from your goals. Make sure you're aware of those there and prepare yourself. You know what? Y'all go ahead and order out. I'm bringing my lunch. I'm probably gonna order out with you maybe next week one day, but I really want to try to get my blood pressure down, and it's going to take certain things, certain changes for me to get there. So just be aware of those types of comments in the environment that you're in, and you may need to even change your friends. I've even had patients who have had some huge family conflict about it, and that is really hard. I don't lighten it, especially if it's a spouse or a best friend who is not supportive. Someone who's, you got a friend or a spouse who's bringing home pizza every night, or take out food every night, and they're trying to cook something really healthy, and it does smell good, but it's also not fun to cook for one and have all that other stuff there. It's tough. So maybe even have a conversation together, just the two of you, or maybe involve a coach or your doctor. Maybe next time take them with you to your doctor's appointment. That can help as well. But just be aware of those people and what you might have to do to put them on your team versus on the discouragement committee. So how motivated are you really? So you might actually have a lot of goals, and that's great. I have a lot of patients who have, I want to get my blood pressure down, my blood sugar down, I want to lose weight, I want to drink more water, I want to get active, I want to sleep better. Okay, lots of goals, but you also got to kind of prioritize them and start small, as we talked with the SMART goals earlier. So maybe this week you're going to start with measuring sugars or measuring your blood pressure, and then next week you build on it. So you can also rate it, like what's most important. Like maybe right now your blood sugars are very high, and that is the most important thing to get that down right now. So maybe it's a 9 or 10. Maybe blood pressure is a 6 or 7. Maybe exercise 5 or 6. So just kind of give yourself a rating of how important it is to you and how motivated you are to get there. So all of the things we've talked about throughout this webinar are things that can help motivate you. And I have to say, every patient, every client really has moments of they have to refocus. You always will have things enter your life that maybe make you look to the left or right, but you can always recenter yourself. So be forgiving. I like this quote. It's an act of grace to forgive. It is an act of love to offer yourself another chance. And it's true. No matter where you're at, you can always forgive yourself, make changes, and adjust the track that you're on. I tell patients all the time who are sad about where their blood sugars are, or sad about where their weight is, today's a new day. What's one thing today that you can do differently? Is it walking to your mailbox instead of just picking it up in your car? Is it making your grocery list before you go to the grocery store tonight? Do just one thing. Forgive yourself for where you've been and move forward. Forgive yourself. All right. Well, this has been excellent. So here's our question and answer session. And, I know a lot of you, this is kind of like a personal webinar. Everybody's in a different place with where they're at and what they're trying to achieve in their own health goals. So I realize this might be a tougher one that we get questions from. So let me take a look over here and see what we've got. Okay, I don't exercise much, and I'm having issues with one of my ankles. Where do you think I should begin to get more activity in? That's an excellent question. So you've got something physically that's kind of making it tough for you. So definitely, it might be something you have to ask your doctor. You might have to get the okay that yes, it's safe for you to do this. And they might even send you to like a physical therapist or a chiropractor or someone who might give you exercises that are specific for you. You might have to do more like chair exercises or resistance band exercises that are appropriate. And then as you go through therapy and heal, you can build on that. So don't let a little, an ailment of a hip or a knee or ankle keep you from exercising. There's always something that you can do. It might just be smaller for now. Okay. All right, I'm trying to get my diabetes under better control and I'm feeling overwhelmed with lots of questions in my head. Where do you think I should start? Okay, great. So if you are working with one of your Cecilia health coaches here with diabetes management, definitely let them know that you've been frustrated and feeling overwhelmed. And you can also tell your doctor next time too, because sometimes doctor's appointments can go quickly sometimes, and you might have lots of questions in your head so that you weren't able to ask. So if you're going to the doctor, write all your questions down. And also working with your Cecilia health coach, write your questions down so that when we're in the moment, when you are excited and trying to take in everything, that you can stay focused on what you want to ask. And maybe you want to start small and ask. I don't know more about the details of this question, but maybe you don't even know what your blood sugars are. So the first step a lot of times is checking your sugars. We need to be aware of what your sugars are actually doing. And then once we know that, we can say, okay, well, you're on these medications. And here's actually how these medications work. Sometimes you're taking medications, you don't know how they work. So we can also teach you how those medications work. Once we know your sugars and that we're taking your medications consistently, then we might say, okay, so how do we eat throughout the day? And then we'll learn how you eat and maybe talk about things that you can adjust to help with lowering your blood sugars. Okay, I always like to ask for patients to give me like a 24-hour recall of how they eat on a normal day, not on a day that maybe they're trying to show their dietitian they really make changes. I want to hear your average day before you've made changes. And then I can really help better understand the types of foods you eat, the type of schedule you work on, and what things you're already doing great that we don't need to make changes with, and maybe what are some things we need to adjust. I would definitely suggest using an app. Someone asked on here too, what were those apps you mentioned earlier? The apps that are very helpful are MyFitnessPal, MyFitness, PAL, PAL. And if you don't have a phone that has apps and you just have a computer, you can also create an account on the computer. And you also don't have to pay the membership version for it too. There's a membership option, but you don't have to do it. It's a free thing that you can use. And you can log all your meals, and it tells you for every meal how many calories, carbohydrates, protein, all the nutrition information. It'll let you scan labels, and it's very user friendly. There's lots of restaurants that are in the MyFitnessPal app as well. So that's a great one. Calorie King is another really great one. Some patients recognize the name because in a lot of doctors' offices, they have the Calorie King little booklets that are kind of small. So it's the web version of it. So you can do it on an app or the web as well. I will warn you on both of these, they will let you put in like your height and weight and give you a caloric level, but they're not always exactly with what your goals are necessarily. So talk with your educator, doctor, or your health coach with Cecilia Health, and you can see if that kind of matches with what your needs are too, if you're kind of unsure. And also Gluco is another one that I have patients with diabetes. They have that app and they use it for tracking like their blood sugars and their medication, exercise, and their food. If exercise, I know for a lot of you, exercise is a big goal to start out the year. And I love that the SMART goal we went over early was like a really good exercise one. If you don't have those types of like Garmin watches or Apple Watch or a Fitbit, if you have an iPhone or an Android, there's also apps on those that if you carry your phone with you, it actually does track your steps. So you can use that as a pedometer for you and to measure your activity. On the iPhone, it's a little heart health app and it's on there for you to use. But those other tools that I mentioned, the Garmin, the Fitbit, the Apple Watch, those are all excellent tools to kind of help keep you motivated and, with exercise that they'll remind you like, hey, you've been sitting down too long, you want to hop up. Or, and some of them even remind you drink the water, which would be great for me. But, they're great little boost of you want to think about what your goals are and stay focused. For my diabetes folks, some of you wear continuous glucose monitors, and those are a great way to keep yourself motivated and knowledgeable of where your sugars are as well and where you're trying to be. Last question here, it looks like I just get so frustrated when I go back to my old ways. What should I do next? Forgive yourself. Today's a new day. And what's one new thing that you can do today? Remember, every person that sets goals will, again, veer in different directions. You might go on a vacation, you might have a holiday, you might have an occasion at work. There's so many things that you want to live your life and be observant of the things that do veer you away from your goals, but just get back on track and take those holidays, those moments as precious and enjoy them, making wonderful memories. And you're still able to be on a healthy track to meet your goals and be healthy. If you have a birthday tonight, maybe have a small slice of cake, candle on top, blow it out. Tomorrow's not your birthday. You're going to get up and have a piece of toast, a couple eggs, some sliced tomato, and you're going to go about your day just like your typical healthy days that you have. All righty. Well, it has been a joy to be with y'all tonight. The next webinar is All the Medication Tips Your Doctor Never Told You. It's on February 6th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. If you need to have a reminder sent from your coach, they can do that as well. If you need more support, of course, ask your diabetes coach, send them a message. We're also on Facebook, Cecilia Health. It's been great to be with y'all tonight. Bye.